A few videos back, we reviewed Digimon Tamers Battle of Adventurers, a strange Tamers film that released in Japan midway through the show's original run, which served as a light crossover with Adventure 1999 and 02, with Omnimon and Apoclymon being major players. But it was ultimately a story that didn't feel all too consequential. In this video, we're talking about the other Digimon Tamers film out there, which feels significantly more important, as chronologically it's meant to take place after the final episode of the anime, making it something of an epilogue story for Digimon Tamers. It's no Revenge of Diaboromon, it's certainly not a 6-movie series like Try or even a Last Evolution Kizuna with a time skip, but Runaway Locomon is the Digimon Tamers encore victory lap that many fans craved, especially after the heartbreaking but hopeful ending of the original series. So today we're discussing and reviewing this short and sweet film, asking how it does as a standalone Digimon story and how we feel about it as the final animated adventure in the Digimon Tamers timeline. Welcome back to the Digino. Thank you for helping the channel get to 40,000 subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet but you like Digimon and you like what's going on here, please do me the favor of hitting subscribe, because the next milestone is 50k. It takes just one screen tap or button click, but would absolutely make my day. Alright, with that out of the way, let's talk Runaway Locomon. I've been having a great time exploring these legacy Digimon films. I'll link to my reviews of Revenge of Diaboromon, the 02 epilogue film, and Battle of Adventurers, the Tamers sort of midway summer vacation film, in the description of this video. Runaway Locomon takes place sometime after the events of the Tamers series finale. Characters like Gyomon and Terriermon have been reunited with their human tamers despite the tearful goodbye in the final episode, but characters that were lost in the series like Leomon are still permanently gone. It's Rika's birthday, and the cast of Tamers have orchestrated a birthday celebration with Jerry leading the party planning. At the heart of our epilogue film is a story about Rika, the most distant and walled-off character from Tamers, responding to love from her friends, her family, her Digimon. It's a charming and unique setup for one of these post-series epilogue films. Adventure fans who are used to modern adventure sequel stories focusing too heavily on Tai don't have to worry about the Tamers sequel focusing too much on Takato only. Rika is the crux of this film, and I would argue just about everyone else still gets time to shine. The first of the Rika birthday celebrations comes in the form of a mother-daughter museum day that Jerry and Takato planned. Seeing Rika and her mom, who simply don't mesh but keep trying regardless, it's instantly more charming than Battle of Adventurers, and seeing our characters in this peacetime era after the D-Reaper defeat has that nice victory lap feeling that I enjoyed from Revenge of Diaboromon. Just like in that film, we're seeing these characters at the end of their character arcs, though because this is Tamers and these are still young teens, they aren't completely at peace. More on that later. The birthday plan goes off the rails immediately though. We meet Locomon, a hulking train Digimon just barreling through Tokyo, causing total mayhem. Tamers was always great at its depiction of real-world Tokyo, Shinjuku in particular, and here we once again get a love letter to Japan's biggest city in the form of Tamers' already true-to-life art style, now with the movie-quality attention to detail. Rika and Renamon board Locomon, so does Takato. Yamaki from the network administration, the designer of Hypnos, is alone in Tokyo, seemingly trying to figure out what to do with himself after the events of the main series when he becomes aware of the Runaway Locomon. He takes command of a rail traffic controller station as the foremost adult authority on apprehending rogue Digimon. This is a fun flip of the script that I enjoyed. He's no longer in Hypnos HQ, but here he is again in a room full of computers, directing system admin workers and coming up with a plan to stop a renegade Digimon from terrorizing the human world. It's what we know, but a little bit different. Everyone's boy Beelzemon shows up on his bike, just an epic entrance where he takes a crack at stopping Locomon himself before promptly eating shit. It is so sad, one of the coolest monsters in the franchise and a real highlight of Tamers, getting KO'd 20 seconds after first appearing on screen. Not everyone can be the star of such a short film, but his role in this film was a huge bummer. Still, I can't lie and say this fake out / failure wasn't immensely funny. There's also this funny bit where when it's time for Henry and Terriermon to get involved in the action, they can't because Henry is actually with Lopmon in this moment. The two got mixed up, Henry grabbed the wrong Mon, and Terriermon is back with Susie and is super pissed. On board the train, Rika is infected with something and has visions of her absent father. To this day, we don't know much about the character. He is presumed alive, but Rika's parents are separated and he's not the primary caretaker. It's also clear that Rika's mom had her quite young, but not much else is known about the father, his age, his occupation. Here, in Rika's mind, we get a song coupled with the vision of a young Rika on a swing set playing with her father before he disappears, leaving her again. It's heartbreaking, vulnerable, haunting, and a little bit creepy. Here is a character who has hid so much of herself from the other characters in the fictional world and from the viewers, and we are kind of forced into her mind. It almost feels invasive because you know Rika wouldn't be cool with sharing this vision, this memory with anyone, at least not at this moment in her life. This is a bit of an aside, but it was at this point in the film that, having recently watched Digimon Ghost Game, the anime that ran from 2021 to 2023, it dawned on me that this movie's structure is not dissimilar to an episode of Ghost Game. A lightning-fast Monster of the Week story with no real introduction to Locomon other than that he's here and he's fast, and a team working to stop that week's monster while learning a bit more about the monster. Only here we actually get the luxury of learning a bit more about the hero characters. We get more of Rika's inner thoughts and feelings in this short film than we did for really Kiyoshiro or Hiro combined in all of Ghost Game, honestly. This is of course a top-level writing decision, but I will always admire Tamers' willingness and effectiveness at really interrogating and exploring its unique characters, something that Ghost Game decided it wouldn't spend time doing. But I digress. Back to Runaway Locomon proper. We come to learn what's possessed Rika, and Locomon for that matter. Turns out this Runaway Locomon is something of a victim, as it's being controlled by a Parasaimon that has latched on and now controls its host. Locomon evolves into Grand Locomon, and although Rika is separated from her Parasaimon and regains consciousness, she's briefly captured. I don't love her getting tied up and held captive here. It's way too tropey to have the girl in the squad tied up so that the boy leader can save her, and it hurts especially hard when this is Rika we're talking about getting the damsel in distress treatment. This was 2002. It's a film that's over 20 years old, so I'll cut it some slack, but a weird call for Rika. Fortunately, it doesn't last long because again, this movie moves at a breakneck pace. There's something here I kinda like with Rika asking for Takado's help. I'm a bit torn because it is tropey and tired, but I never thought I'd hear Rika asking a friend for assistance like this, so the fact that she trusts Takado to help her carry this burden is somewhat effective. We start the Matrix evolution train here with Dukemon or Gallantmon having a sick fight with Parasaimon, all of its organic tendrils and weird parts wiggling around. It's wonderfully animated. I jumped around between the English dub and the English sub with the Japanese vocals, and in the Japanese version I loved Masako Nozawa's Dukemon voice. It's distinctly not Gyomon, whereas in the dub I always thought Gallantmon still having that mix of Takado and the goofy Gyomon voice was kind of weird. Nozawa is also not doing Goku or Gohan here. It's distinctly a Dukemon voice, which sounds great and shows what a talent she is. Now a bunch more Parasaimon begin manifesting in the real world. The closer Locomon gets to the digital zone destination, we pull out all the Tamer stops here with the Matrix evolutions, not just of our main three pairs, but also Justimon shows up. Rika is still a little flustered, presumably by Rio. Again, a little bit cheesy, but I'm a sucker for the Rio-Rika dynamic, so I liked seeing it one last time here before Tamers said goodbye forever. Beelzemon bounces back too. He has a chance at redeeming himself for his major L earlier in the movie. He saves Suzy and Lopmon. Dukemon Crimson Mode is brought out one last time to finish the battle for good, and things move so fast that I can't exactly say I loved the final minutes of the battle. He throws a javelin into the heart of the digital zone above town, and with that, the Parasaimon that were overwhelming Sakuyamon, Justimon, and the others all just fade away. It was fine. It could have been better, certainly, being the final Tamers battle to be animated. Locomon rides off the moment he's free of the Parasaimon without thanking or acknowledging our heroes. Once again, this feels incredibly Ghost Game. Finally, with the Runaway Locomon crisis resolved, we go back to Rika's grandmother's for the birthday party promised at the start of the film. This is a short but rewarding and even emotional little scene, allowing us to see the Tamers cast together one last time. The Digimon are with them, unlike in the final episode of the anime, minus Leomon of course. They're doing karaoke, Impmon is there, Rio is here too, wearing his adventure outfit, not his Tamers gear, you know, like the metal gauntlet thing. Seeing Jerry with the gang and smiling so wide even without Leomon is also quite sweet considering the trauma she went through in the second half of Tamers, and the fact she's able to not just tolerate being in the same room as Impmon, but celebrating with him is a beautiful demonstration of forgiveness and redemption. We don't leave things on a purely happy ending though. Kazu says something that rubs Rika the wrong way. She leaves the party to go be alone in another room. Takado tries to pursue, gets close to having a one-on-one moment that I would have been interested in seeing, but Renamon stops him, believing that it's best to leave Rika alone at this moment. By herself, Rika watches the sunset, thinking of her father, and the film fades to black. It's that melancholy, weirdly real thing that made so many of us fall in love with Tamers. We end the entire series with the team united, stronger than ever, Rika supported by nearly a dozen friends at this point, but Tamers pulls a Tamers and reminds us not every struggle can be solved with a Digimon punching another Digimon. I appreciate and prefer that this movie, with its 30-minute runtime, didn't have the false confidence to try and resolve Rika's complicated relationship with an absent father. Although we end the film without a happily ever after send-off, we leave with a deeper empathy for a character that has been incredibly walled off for the entirety of the series. Us being allowed into that character's heart and mind is the rewarding epilogue that I didn't expect, but I really treasure. Runaway Locomon isn't the perfect Tamers epilogue or send-off, but realistically, even Try and Last Evolution, which marketed themselves much more as sequels and endings, have their own share of critics who would say those are far from perfect endings. What Runaway Locomon is pretty perfect at is being a small slice of what made Digimon Tamers so beloved. We get one more battle with all of our favorite characters, one more Matrix evolution sequence, one more creepy, bio-organic, parasitic Digimon villain latching on to a vulnerable and troubled young girl, one more melancholy finale where even the happiest of moments for our favorite characters is weighed down by an intentionally unresolved trauma. It isn't the time skip where are they now type of epilogue, but it is very much that other term I've used once or twice in this review. Runaway Locomon is Digimon Tamers' victory lap.